What's up, everyone? You're listening to Delayed Reaction. I'm your host, Lilo. This is the movie review podcast where I watch older movies and give my take on them. Because what's more important than hearing some internet strangers' take on a movie that was released 30-something years ago? Anyway, let's get into it, shall we? Today's movie is Alien Resurrection. This is the fourth installment of the Alien series in release order. This was released in 1997, and it was directed by Jean-Pierre Jeunet, which I think I pronounced that right. My French has been not so good because I took it like 25 years ago in high school, and that was about it. So if I mispronounced that, I apologize. Please check me in the comments. This movie stars Sigourney Weaver, Winona Ryder, and Ron Perlman, to name a few big names. Sigourney Weaver, once again, for the last time, reprises her role as Ellen Ripley. Winona Ryder plays Call, who is a synthetic humanoid, and Ron Perlman plays a complete psycho. Yeah, that's like the best way that I could describe it. So this movie, if you haven't seen it, please consider this your spoiler warning. Now's your chance to go ahead and check it out. It's streaming on Hulu, so if you want to see it, go there. But again, spoiler territory on the way. Go ahead and pause the podcast here. And when you're done, come on back. Okay, you back? Awesome, welcome back. Okay, so this movie, I think, from what I've seen, takes place roughly 200 years after Alien Cubed. And like I said, the timeline is really wild, so I haven't exactly confirmed that. But the general premise is that Ellen Ripley comes back as a cloned human from some military adjacent operation, where once again Weyland-Yutani pops in to try and create these aliens as some kind of engineered bioweapon. And in order to do that, this group has to clone Ellen Ripley and then implant an alien in the clone. So the military adjacent group that is doing this hires a group of quote unquote contractors. They're more closely aligned with space pirates from what I can tell, but they hire these contractors to bring in some mostly unwilling subjects, from what it looks like, to be implanted with alien babies. So they do that. They meet up on the military ship, and of course, it being an alien movie, things can't go quite right. So the aliens, after being confined, sort of successfully, might I add, by this military adjacent group, decide it's time to break out because we've had enough of their shenanigans. So there are this scene's actually pretty wild. So there are three aliens that are confined in this one little tube thing that when the scientists want to suppress them, just spray them with I'm guessing an aerosol version of liquid nitrogen or something. But anyway, the three aliens that are in this containment unit decide amongst each other that they need to break out. And the only way that they do that is by slaughtering one of them and using the acid blood to bore a hole straight through this spaceship. And they all get out and do the thing that aliens do best, which is murder. So, like I said, shenanigans ensue. The aliens end up killing most of the military agency along with most of the space pirate crew, save for Ron Perlman, Winona Ryder, this other gentleman, Dominique, what's his name? Dominique Pinot. I think he's French. And of course, Ellen Ripley, Sigourney Weaver. So, one of the key points in this movie, as I mentioned, was Ellen Ripley is cloned to act as a surrogate host for the alien. Once they remove that alien from her, it is revealed that the military agency and the scientists on board had altered the DNA of the alien to produce an alien with a human like womb, which in the movie is crazy to watch because the alien essentially, instead of just, laying eggs like they did in Aliens, the second one, it very violently, like almost a very extreme version of regular human birth, is just screaming as it gives birth to a live alien baby as opposed to an egg face hugger baby. Once this baby alien is born, one, it is horrifying. Just total nightmare fuel. Two, when the baby alien is born, it straight rages and swipes the face off of the queen alien. Just one swing rips the face right off of the queen alien. But then it like attaches itself to Ripley. It understands that Ripley is more of its mother than the queen alien, which I thought was interesting. But one thing that kind of struck me was, if they had to clone Ripley to then implant her with this baby, why not just clone the baby alien and and splice the DNA from the clone that way? Like, I think there is a lot of unnecessary steps here for to try and get to this end result. But the positive of cloning Ellen Ripley is that she becomes more unhinged in this movie than she has in the previous 3 movies. This is what I've kind of deemed as Ellen Ripley's, like, quote unquote final form, because she also inherits some of the strength of the alien. So she is outrageously strong, has not a huge emotional range. She is just a completely different Ellen Ripley, and it's awesome. Like, I loved watching her go through, and she plays this really interesting dichotomy where it's like, is she a good guy? Is she a bad guy? Is she gonna betray the space pirates? Is she gonna betray the military agency? Like what's happening here? And so that part was really cool. I really enjoyed watching that. There's also a scene that takes place underwater because you can't have, okay, main themes in the Alien movie. 1, alien zzz. 2, the aliens like to murder because that's how they procreate. 3, wet. Just everything covered in wet. So they take that to its logical conclusion, having a whole scene underwater where they have to the space pirates have to swim through a destroyed kitchen that's flooded, and the aliens have to swim along with them, which feels natural. They're already dripping with goo, so it would make sense that they can swim, right? That tracks. But that scene in particular is weird because I can't swim personally. And so watching them swim through this very long sequence because, of all the camera cuts and stuff, but it's super long and I am just very internally dying. Like, I can't breathe through this scene. And, of course the aliens come and they overtake a lot of them. And there's a moment where Dominique Pinon's character ends up holding on to a ladder, but he's strapped to another person because in the movie he plays a paraplegic and he's in a wheelchair. So the person that he is kind of attached to gets caught by one of the aliens trying to get out of the water. But the alien's holding on to this dude's foot, not even like wildly implanted into him or, stabbing the dude or nothing. He's just grabbing on with one hand onto this guy's foot. And it's like, it would be pretty easy to just shake it off, I would think, but I guess shaking it off wasn't an option here. This was, that was just not a thing that could be done. So anyway, he ends up the guy that's strapped to Dominique ends up cutting the straps, and him and the alien fall into the water, and they both die. There's another thing in here that really kind of bugged me, and this kind of like bugs me for a lot of different reasons, right? And like it kind of like happens throughout the whole series of movies. Um, so along the way, the space pirates find an infected person who hasn't birthed the alien yet. So they, in true horror movie mistake fashion, take the dude with them. Like, it'll be totally fine. We'll get him back to Earth, we'll put him in cryo, and we'll remove the alien in cryo. But as we all know, cryo is not a good place. It's the place where things go wrong, right? They don't even get to cryo. But okay, there's a good and a bad to taking this dude. One, at some point this alien's gonna come busting through this guy's chest. But the good is that he ends up having the wherewithal to have the alien burst through his chest as well as go through the evil, like there's an evil scientist because of course, goes through his head and kills them both. So I thought that was kind of like one of those, poetic justice kind of situations. But the question that I have is, what is the actual gestational period for an alien baby? It is massively inconsistent throughout the entire 4 movies that I've watched so far, where it's like, it could be immediate, it could be delayed, but most of the time it looks like it's immediate, unless it's convenient to the story and then it's delayed, like in this guy. Like the dude that they picked up is the last of the last of the quote unquote volunteer surrogate hosts for these aliens. And all the rest of them have died and have produced various other aliens, right? At one point, the movie says that there are 12 aliens on board that ship, which means that they were all already born and grown up before this guy's little infected baby, decides to pop out. So like what is the gestational period of an alien baby? Please, if anyone out there knows, put it in the comments so I can have like a better idea of what's happening. All right, last thing that I want to mention is there is also this, I don't know if it's like a gag or what, but they always end up launching the aliens into space at the end of the movie. Like this is how they resolve a lot of the alien problems, is by yeeting them into space. And this one, they don't like pop an airlock or open the cargo bay or, kick it out some other way. They take the alien baby, who again has somehow managed to sneak on board the escaping ship called the Betty, and Sigourney Weaver, being the attached mom to this human baby alien freak show, tricks the alien into standing by a port window while they're in space. Ellen blows the window, and the baby alien gets sucked through a small little window, and it is pretty wretched to watch. And there is a point when, and this is a credit to the puppeteers and the alien monster creators for the movie, right? There's a point where you kind of feel sad, like that's a terrible way to go. Like you know, push the alien out of the airlock like you did for every other alien. Not this outrageous getting sucked through a 2 foot by 2 foot window. Like, that sounds awful. And so you feel kind of bad, but then at the same time you're like, oh well, okay. Uh terror is over, horrors are done, and they fly back to Earth, which I guess there are two different versions of the ending I found out. So it depends on which version you saw. If the theatrical version is just them flying over Earth, but if you watch the director's cut, it's like Ellen and Call are sitting on Earth, and there's kind of like this wild shot of Earth in just complete disarray. So, whew. All that being said, I'd say my score for this movie is probably a 3 out of 5. It's a decent movie. It feels a little forced at times, especially when they reveal that Ellen was a clone. They play that really well, where she becomes this superhuman, and that's pretty cool to watch. And also, because the baby alien was like really scary, and then also that tension of, is Ripley good, is Ripley bad, that also kind of helped move the movie along a lot better, which I thought was pretty cool. So there you go. Those are my thoughts on Alien Resurrection. Let me know what your thoughts were. I know I've asked for a lot of things in the comments, but if you made it this far, let me know what your overall thoughts and what you would give Alien Resurrection on a scale of 1 to 5. Thanks so much for listening, and until next time.